Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mystery Channel 33. I am Tatiana. I am here to help solve more missing women, children, and men cases. I'm here to break the codes if I see any. I am here to see where their bodies are located if they know. And I'm also here to see if they're alive, deceased, bodysuit exchange, identity, or misidentity. Y'all already should know who's involved, so let's begin. This is titled Brutal, Senseless Slaying Killer set to be released. Submitted photo. This photo of Cora and Charley Abernathy appeared in the Minor Daily News on February 11th, 1985. Cora was 66 and Charley 75 were the victims of a double homicide in their rural home. This how they look, and they was in Jeepers Creepers 3 or 4. Okay, either way, whoever the killer is, put them in that position, okay? So I'm going to put the clip in on Jeepers Creepers, okay? One of two convicted killers involved in the double murder of an elderly minor area couple is scheduled to be released from the North Dakota State Penitentiary next May. Calvin Arthur Noonan had an estimated release date of May the 16th, 2019. He said he passed it to somebody else, so yes. So he could have been the killer, okay? But then, he just let somebody else handle the rest, okay? His accomplice in the murders, Kevin Austin, is currently serving a life sentence for the same crime. See, I ain't read this. The murders happened during a time when few homeowners in the area locked their doors. Violent crime was extremely rare in the minor area. It just didn't happen, but then it did, in a very brutal way. Late afternoon on a Saturday, law enforcement was called to the rural home of Charles and Cora Abernathy, about 2 miles north of Gavin Yard, east of the city. They encountered a gruesome scene. The couple has been shot in the head, their throats were slashed, Cora was found in her bed, Charles was on the living room floor. Okay, I'm hearing it's nothing but, it was just murder, okay, nothing when it comes to sexual assault. Okay, but then she's saying she was sexually assaulted. So yeah, she was telling me that when I watched that scene of her in Jeepers Creepers 4. Investigators put the time of death at the previous evening, Friday, February the 8th, 1985. See, that's when he became here, Jeepers Creepers. He came to this earth in 1985. At that time, there wasn't home invasions, things like that. June 1985. At that time, there wasn't home invasions, things like that, said Von Erich. There was burglaries, but they were mostly businesses, not home burglaries. People felt safe and secure. True. Eric was 30 years old, newly appointed captain of investigations for the Ward County Sheriff's Office at the time of the Abernathy killings. He was not initially in charge of the investigation, but it would later be handed to him. It was his first major case. Several years later, Eric was elected Ward County Sheriff and served in that position from 1994 to 2010. I'm hearing yes. Okay, then when he was appointed. Okay. Yes. Charles was 75 years old and Cora was 66 at the time of their murders. The latter were virtually immobile due to a recent hip surgery. Yep, see, of his wife. So they did rape her, okay? Their rural home has been ransacked, but in the end, all that was determined to be missing was $300. Charles Abernathy still had money in his pocket. It was the most disturbing and senseless crime imaginable. Vaughn called me. He was already out there, said Tom Sloby, a minor attorney who was the Ward County State's attorney in 1985. I walked in and wondered what all the cops were doing there. It was really bad. Sloby said he was quite concerned about the number of people present in the home that could possibly disturb evidence at a crime scene. There were broken dishes on the floor and blood evidence in several locations within the home. So they was hungry. Some furniture has been moved to allow for better evidence pictures to be taken of the bodies. Vehicle parked alongside the home eliminated any possibility of obtaining impressions of tire tracks. While some key evidence at the scene may have been composed, one critical signature of the killer or killers remained evident. The killing was done the same way on both of their victims. We call Sloby. So yes, both. I'm hearing yes. That's really the only thing we took from the crime scene, the way they were killed. This is Calvin Newman, the suspect. Okay, and yes. It wasn't until several agonizing months later, while understandably anxious citizens were clamoring for an arrest, that Newman, then 24-year-old and a resident of South Mining, admitted to law enforcement that he was involved in the heinous act. On September the 25th, 1985, Newman went to the Mining Police Station at the request of Officers Young, Glibber, and Lee Cleveland. It was then that Newman, who had been considered by investigators to be a leading suspect in the case, confessed to the crime. Several months later, as in Newman's 1986 murder trial, Cleveland testified about the encounter with Neiman at police headquarters. He was shown the pictures and stated that it was really a horror, said Cleveland. I said, yes, it was, and I said, you were there, Calvin. He said, yes. Neiman was convicted on June 9, 1986, and sentenced to conservative life terms in the North Dakota State Penitentiary for the murders and two concurrent terms of 20 years for robbery and 5 years for felonious restraint. Remarkably, the man Newman identified as his accomplice, Kevin Austin, might avoid a murder trial. The primary reason was that Newman refused to testify against Austin. This is Kevin Austin. Newman turned against us and wouldn't testify, said Slowby. At that time, I could have gotten Austin's case to the jury. I dismissed that case without prejudice to save it for later. That was better than having him acquitted. I would have gone to trial in a heartbeat had Newman not turned on us. I didn't like it, but I understood it, said Eric. It was the right thing to do. Part of Slowby's concern about proceeding with the case against Austin was a gap in the timeline investigators had pieced together. Okay. Police arrested Austin on a forgery charge in 1985, about 1 week after the discovery of the Abernathys. He would eventually serve time behind bars, but not for the Abernathy murders. It wasn't until 1993 that Austin would face a jury for his role in the Abernathy killings. Newman, who had earlier refused to testify against Austin, changed his mind after sitting in prison for several years with no hope of release. Investigators had recovered several items identified as belonging to Neiman and Austin, but not the guns used to commit the murders. As he said he would do, Neiman took law enforcement to the hiding places of the guns, 2.22 caliber handguns. The guns were stashed under insulation in the attic of the home of Newman's parents. So it was their guns. And yes, you have the right to carry a gun in your house, okay? Ironically, law enforcement had searched that home earlier but failed to find the hidden handguns of the victims, okay? Ballistic tests later confirmed they were the guns used in the murders. Okay, yes, they will. Eric retired from his law enforcement career, credited fellow officers both from the country and the city with doing some excellent work in helping solve the crime. He also remembers members of the Abernathy family who, despite extremely trying circumstances, actually worked with law enforcement. They are one of the most kind and decent families I ever met or worked with, said Eric sincerely. I consider them friends. And that is basically the case of Miss Cora and Miss Charley Abernathy. If you like to help with this case, she can. I don't do this for the fame or the money. I do it because it's what I love to do. And to the real families of these victims, corporate America will set y'all up. Thank y'all. Peace and be safe.